BTS News Today to In01 was really prepared for what happened that day. Not even Jimin, who has been so understanding of Jungkook's every expression, every sentence, and every little gesture that even the army sometimes misses. But that day was different. Not at #@1 because of the atmosphere. It's not because something doesn't look right from the outside, but because one sentence spoken so simply from Jungkook's lips was able to change everything. Stop time, smothering chest, and leave a silence that has never been felt before. Jahari, when the two met in a room away from the media spotlight, no large crew, no professional lighting, there is no script they have to memorize. There are only two best friends who have shared the stage for more than a decade. Jungkook comes up with a plan, carrying something in his mind that was so heavy that it could be felt from the look in his eyes. Jimin knows that. He had recognized the signal for a long time, since he first saw Jungkook forcing a smile in the midst of sadness that a few days earlier, the army had noticed something different from their interaction. Comments flooded social media. Are Jimin and Jungkook moving away? Why does Jungkook's expression look so heavy? But as usual, they did not rush to judge. Army has learned that BTS, no matter how strong they look on stage, you are a human being who experiences emotional ups and downs like everyone else. As Jimin sat waiting, he didn't expect that day to be the most painful and honest moment of his friendship with Jungkook. When Jungkook finally spoke, there was no prologue, no introduction. Only one sentence came out of it. "Hyung, I don't know how to continue without hurting you." For a moment, the air in the room seemed to be sucked out. Jimin froze. Before he could even ask what she meant, Jungkook lowered his head and didn't speak anymore. "Shut up." Silence. A silence that does not save anyone, but it only aggravates the wounds that begin to grow. What does Jungkook mean? Has he been hiding something all this time? Is he under a lot of pressure that he can't share? Jimin knows. They are all in a complicated time. Conscription has separated them from the world they have built together. BTS is not just a music group. BTS is family. And when one by one has to undergo state duty, that dynamic changes. Jungkook is not the type to talk about his emotions easily. It stores, harbors, then expresses it through music or small actions that are sometimes difficult to understand. But that day, he chose to reveal a truth that he had long kept. One sentence is not just an emotional outburst. That's the essence of what he's been hiding. Jimin, who is usually quick to respond, I could only look at Jungkook in silence. He knew if he spoke, his voice would tremble. If he touches Jungkook's shoulder, maybe both of them will cry. But he also knew that silence would not heal. Finally, he said quietly, "You never hurt me, Jungkook. But when you're all alone, that's what hurts me." In an instant, Jungkook's eyes lit up. He did not cry loudly, but his tears fell one after another, quiet yet bearing the burden of years. It is not necessary to explain everything. That sentence, an admission of his fear of hurting Jimin, reflects a guilt he has long felt. Maybe he's been demanding too much of himself. Perhaps he feels that all his life choices will always have an impact on those around him. Probably, and this is the saddest, he feels that the love and attention he has given so far has become a burden for the people he cares about the most. Jimin hugged her. No matter who is watching, no matter the cameras or the speculation that will arise. The hug is not for the public, not for the content. It was the hug of a sister who just wanted to say, "You are not alone." And the world, so knowing this moment, straight to tears. Armies from all over the world flooded social media. Hashtags like #WeLoveYouJungkook and #JiminAlwaysWithYou are trending globally in minutes. Fan art, messages of support, even open letters from fans filled the timeline. Many of them admitted to crying just by imagining how much pressure Jungkook was facing and how much love Jimin has for his sister. The media began to cover. But the surprising thing is, none of the major media made the moment a scandal or cheap drama. All agreed that this is an emotional event that shows the human side of two idols who have been considered perfect. Many psychologists and relationship experts later raised this moment as an example of the importance of communication in maintaining a healthy relationship, even under pressure and fame. In a short interview a few days later, Jimin conveyed, "I know many of you are surprised, but believe me, sometimes silence is the loudest way a person shouts. And Jungkook's been holding it all to himself for too long." The words again shook the hearts of the fans. Many of them began to write down their personal experiences of undue feelings of guilt, about the fear of hurting others, and how such feelings can destroy from the inside. Meanwhile, Jungkook chose not to say much, but she uploaded a short song on her Instagram with very simple lyrics. "I just want to be loved without hurting you." The song, only 45 seconds long, but it has a power that even 1,000 words cannot express. The army is moving. They created a campaign to spread a positive message and remind others that true love doesn't hurt. They also raised funds for mental health programs, which will later be distributed on behalf of BTS, especially to support young people who feel lonely and burdened by feelings of guilt that they should not bear. And perhaps that's where the real beauty of this event is. Behind Jungkook's seemingly simple sentence, a wound is hidden, fear, and deep love. But there is also hope, hugs, and a community that rises together to heal. Until now, many are still talking about that moment. Not because of the drama, but because of the honesty. Because of Jungkook's courage to admit his fear and Jimin's power not to judge. Because both show that even behind the big-name BTS, they are still human beings who need each other, love each other, and sometimes mutual silence just to understand that in his silence. Jungkook has spoken louder than words. And in his arms, Jimin answered with an inexplicable love that he owed this day. That moment continues to live in the hearts of the army. A reminder that sometimes, one sentence and one silence can change everything after the incident. The atmosphere around them changed, not because any distance was created, rather because there is a new closeness being formed. The silence that has been a barrier has opened the way to a deeper understanding. Jungkook and Jimin didn't talk much in public afterwards, but the look in their eyes every time they see each other, every time they mention each other's names in interviews, hinting at something much more meaningful: honesty, acceptance, and love that is no longer held back by fear. Every time the army saw a portrait of their togetherness after that event, there are always tearful comments. A soldier from Brazil. "I can feel Jungkook healing himself, and Jimin is the home he came back to." Others from Japan say, "I never thought one sentence could carry so much meaning. I want to hug them both." There was something about their relationship that could not be described simply by the term best friend or coworker. Their family, maybe not by blood, but by experience, by time, by the wounds and healing they passed together. When one is injured, the other feels pain. And as one grows, the other supports, not from behind, but on the side. Always on the side. On one limited interview session leaked to social media, a staff member shared the story of how Jungkook sat alone in the waiting room, staring at the floor for almost 30 minutes, before finally smiling quietly as Jimin entered and sat down beside him without a word. No need to talk. That presence alone is comforting. And that's how they are. Not necessarily always with words, but with irreplaceable togetherness. BTS have been through a lot together, from difficult debuts to stressful overseas concerts, until the big victory in the World Awards. But behind it all, what the public doesn't see is how tired they are. Being Jungkook, the golden magne, is not easy. She was loved for her good looks, voice, dancing, and dedication. But behind all that, he was a young man who sometimes just wanted to say, "I'm tired," without necessarily feeling guilty. Jimin understands that. He has witnessed Jungkook's transformation from a shy teenager to a responsible adult.